for 10DLC registration, I know everyone's aware. If not, then just to give you a brief of a background of it, it is actually a requirement for you to be able to send out text messages. So this is, being implemented by carriers across the U.S. And this is, of course, to make sure that the outbound texting is being regulated. Because as you all know, like over the years, there has been like a lot of issues already of spam messages circulating, being sent out by businesses. And eventually, of course, like the carriers will have to regulate it, make sure that those messages that are sent out are, compliant on the regulations that they have implemented. So recently, in our case, like in REsimpli, we moved over to our service provider now, which is Twilio from Plivo. So we've been noticing that there has been a great support provided by Twilio in terms of the 10 DLC registration. So for the process of 10 DLC registration, we were still given a time frame of 2 to 4 weeks for the registration time frame. So that's 2 to 4 weeks. There's no exception to that. There is also no option in terms of expediting the process. It has to undergo, the regular process, which is, implemented by the carriers, which is 2 to 4 weeks. Now, if your first question is that, like, is it safe to register to 10 DLC first before doing anything with the phone numbers that you will be using for marketing campaigns? The answer is yes. If you are actually like more on doing your follow-up text messages or follow-ups through text messages, then it's best for you to make sure that you're all approved and verified for 10 DLC. For those who wanted to ask for the statuses of their 10 DLC registration with us, please put in your email address, the ones that you have for your REsimpli accounts. All right, now going back into the discussion. So for 10 DLC registration, keep in mind that it's just for outbound texting. It doesn't affect your inbound calling, outbound calling, and even inbound texting. So it's just for outbound texting. I know that everyone's very particular that, if a lead would text, of course he would text back, right? So have to make sure you're approved and verified. Now, how are you going to be approved and verified? The carriers are very particular with accuracy and consistency of the information that you are submitting to them. So, for example, your company name is REsimpli, your website and email address domain should also be REsimpli. Unless, of course, you have a DBA. But your DBA should also be registered with IRS. So if you would actually tell me now that you have a DBA, but it's not registered, and you are going to be using that for your website as well as your email, I'm afraid so that registration will have to be and will be rejected by the carriers. The thing about it is that, like I've said, accuracy and consistency of the information that you are providing. Because keep in mind, this is actually with the text messages that you're sending out, which is, of course, from your company. Now, there has been a lot of submissions that we have that they're providing DBA, but then apparently the DBA is not registered to IRS. So it has been, rejected. Now, you can resubmit. We can always resubmit. That's fine, but then it will take another time frame for processing. So if we have the 2 to 4 weeks, for the initial submission, and then we will resubmit, that will take again 2 to 4 weeks. So it's really going to take a while. It will delay your approval. It will delay your verification process. So when we do the initial submission for 10 DLC, it would be best if we will get an approval for that. So it will not further delay the process. And you will be unable to use the phone number for outbound texting if you are still waiting for your approval and verification. Now for website, I wanted to share a website. This is Sharad's website, by the way. This has been already accepted, being compliant to the 10 DLC registration. And this website, this has been created, of course, through REsimpli. Okay, so this is Sharad's website. It's actually built through REsimpli. This is a seller website. they're very particular also on the website that you are going to submit. First off, if you don't have a company, no registered company yet, you're planning to use your social security number, that is not accepted by the carriers at the moment. So they're just going to process 10 DLC registration if you have a registered business. That's why they ask for EIN. If they're unable to find your company, the registered company that you presented in the registration, they will actually reject the registration and will ask if you could resubmit with a copy of your EIN document. So what's going to happen is that you will actually provide that to us, the copy in a PDF file type, and then we will attach it in the resubmission of your 10 DLC registration. That's for the EIN. Now, if you've declared that you have a DBA and the carriers actually would get back to us asking for the copy of it, you need to send that to us as well because we will also attach it to your registration. Now, like I've said, if you don't have a registered DBA but you have a DBA, then you would have to make a website and an email address with your company domain, not the DBA as the domain, because you will never be approved and verified for 10 DLC in that case. But I'm just speaking like I wanna have a disclaimer on this. I'm speaking in terms of what we have right now in terms of the 10 DLC process that we are having with carriers to Twilio. Okay, I'm not sure if there have been any processes with other applications, with other platforms in regards to it. But then again, since this is implemented across, so the regulation would be the same.